Hello, you're watching VNA News Bulletin. I'm Banga from Hanoi and now the headlines.
Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng visits Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu province. Leaders of major news agencies meet in Russia. Fruit exports earned $967 million in first 5 months.
Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng has visited the southern province of Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu to inspect the implementation of resolutions of the 12th National Party Congress and the 6th Congress of the Provincial Party Organization, as well as the performance of socio-economic development tasks.
Working with provincial leaders on June 18th, the party chief stressed that Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu is located at a strategic position of the country, which has seen strong development in recent years and holds great potentials for stronger development. He requested central and local authorities to clear up shortcomings and weaknesses and then propose recommendations to boost the province's development in the coming years. According to the Provincial Party Committee, the province has to date established 15 industrial parks. Industrial production contributed almost 13 trillion dong to the state budget. It has stood up 57 ports, of which 28 ports were already put in operation. Last year, Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu attracted 7.9 million visitors and earned 245 billion dong from tourism services. Earlier, Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng called on Long Tân Commune, Đất Đỏ District, which is one of the 6 pilot communes in implementing the New Style Rural Area Building campaign. On this occasion, the party leader also led a wreath at the monument dedicated to heroic martyr Võ Thị Sáu in the Đất Đỏ District.
Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc has hailed the idea of building a startup ecosystem in the southern province of Bến Tre, which to be expanded to other localities nationwide.
During a working session with provincial officials on June 18th, Prime Minister Phúc said this novel mindset will contribute to reducing poverty, improving management in state-run agencies, and supporting farmers and entrepreneurs to do business. The Prime Minister extolled Bến Tre for proactively enacting measures to cope with saltwater intrusion and ensure social welfare. He suggested the province promote innovation in management and concentrate financial resources on improving the living conditions of local residents. It is important to boost the application of science and technology in farming and raise public awareness of integrating economic development with climate change adaptation. The government leader asked the locality to diversify and mobilize capital resources to build climate change adaptation facilities. With a 65-kilometer coastline and favorable infrastructure network, Bến Tre boasts strength in seafood and rice production. It also connects the Mekong Delta with the southern key economic zone.
Leaders of 24 news agencies around the world gathered at a meeting within the framework of the 20th St. Petersburg International Economic Forum in Russia. A delegation from the Vietnam News Agency, led by its Deputy General Director Lê Duy Chuyên, attended the event.
Participants debated the application of the latest technologies in traditional press. They held that the current ever-growing new technology era has changed the way the traditional press operates. Many of them raised concern that the application of script data processing software could be more preeminent than reporters in terms of speed and quality of products, as it can produce a 1,000-word article only in 1 minute. However, some others held that the artificial intelligence cannot completely replace reporters. In this context, news agencies need to play a more active role in response to new technologies, and reporters should try harder to make their products more intelligent and emotional. Thereby, they are invincible by artificial intelligence.
Vietnam's fruit exports brought home $967 million in the first 5 months of 2016, a 147% surge against the same period last year. More details coming up next.
During the period, the country shipped 3,400 tons of fruits to major markets, including 2,500 tons of dragon fruits to the US, Japan, and the Republic of Korea, 230 tons of mango to Japan and the Republic of Korea, 160 tons of rambutan, and 500 tons of longan to the US. Exports of dragon fruits, rambutan, longan, and lychee to the US increased threefold against the 2015 figure to 2,000 tons. Mangoes and star fruits will enter the markets in June. According to the Institute of Policy and Strategy for Agriculture and Rural Development, among agricultural products, exports of vegetables and fruits will grow at the fastest pace. Besides the US and Japan, there is a lot of room for Vietnamese to export vegetables and fruits to Australia, New Zealand, the Republic of Korea, the EU, India, and Chile. However, the Department of Plant Protection noted that quarantine is an important step to overcome technical barriers in many markets, besides restructuring production process to produce fruits of consistent quality. According to the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, fruit exports are expected to hit more than $2 billion this year, up 11% compared to 2015. Vietnam is currently exporting fruits to more than 40 countries and territories worldwide.
Vietnam is expected to witness one of the largest growths in mobile broadband subscriptions in Southeast Asia, together with Myanmar, Indonesia, Bangladesh, and the Philippines by 2021.
The latest edition of the Ericsson's Mobility Report and the Southeast Asia and Oceania Report, highlighting mobile network coverage and network performance, predicts smartphone subscriptions in Vietnam will triple from around 30 million in 2015. By the end of 2015, mobile subscription penetration reached almost 150% in Vietnam, while mobile broadband subscription penetration was close to 40%. Ericsson Consumer Lab analysis based on face-to-face interviews reveals that more than 30% of smartphone and weekly internet users in Vietnam are using all key application categories on a daily basis: social networking, instant messaging, and social videos. When looking at each application category, more than 70% of the survey respondents are using social networking, more than 50% using instant messaging, and more than 40% using free online videos or videos in social media on a daily basis.
A two-day global education dialogue took place in Ho Chi Minh City, focusing its discussion on the necessity for better links between industries and educational institutions to enhance the employability of graduates in a more competitive, globalized environment.
The dialogue on June 16 and 17 was one of the activities under the joint statement on higher education cooperation between the Ministry of Education and Training of Vietnam, the British Council of Vietnam, and the UK Higher Education International Unit, signed in London in 2015. It attracted 130 delegates, including government officials, industry and higher education leaders, researchers, and practitioners from the UK, Vietnam, and ASEAN countries.
That's effective and makes a positive contribution to the country, but also ultimately to making sure that people who come out of university are ready to join the workforce, ready to work, and that the skills that they learned at university are the skills that employers need. So it's about exchanging ideas and experience between the UK around that idea of linking much more closely industry and higher education.
The dialogue was told that Vietnam has nearly 450 colleagues at universities. However, student employability remains a problem. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development Student Assessment Test ranks Vietnam in the top 10 countries globally. But Vietnam still gets complaints from industries about the employability of graduates. so graduates need further training by industries to be employable. Leaders of tertiary institutions are aware of the need for better university-industry links, curricular design, and professional programs. However, university-industry partnerships have progressed slowly. Industry contributes to human resource training and student internships are still minimal. Many industries believe that such training is solely the responsibility of universities.
Enterprises have for long considered training a duty of universities, so they have not invested much in this sector. Universities therefore face difficulties in mobilizing sources for training. With what the UK and ASEAN universities shared at the dialogue today, I hope that Vietnamese universities will gain more experience in building better relationship with enterprises.
The two-day dialogue is expected to assist in developing policies to encourage university-industry links. Dialogue can also promote bilateral cooperation in education and training between Vietnam and the UK, and make significant contributions to the reform of the educational system in Vietnam.
A film about the forgotten history of 20,000 young Vietnamese who were forced to work in France on the eve of World War II and under the German occupation will be screened at the French Culture Center Les Parcs in Hanoi.
Entitled Công Binh, The Lost Fighters of Vietnam, the film is directed by Lê Lâm and cast by Vietnamese and French witnesses. On the eve of World War II, 20,000 Vietnamese men in French Indochina were forced to labor in arms factories to replace French workers who had left for the front. Mistaken for soldiers, blocked in France after the 1940s defeat, at the mercy of the German occupying forces and collaborationist bosses, the civil workers, known as Công Binh, led a perilous life during the occupation. They were rice cultivation pioneers in the Camargue and unjustly thought of as traitors in Vietnam, although they all supported President Ho Chi Minh in the country's independence in 1945. The film will be screened on July 19th and 26th.
Turning was four of the scores of illegal advertisement into beautiful wall mirrors has been initiated by locals of Dịch Vọng Hậu Precinct, Gozay District, to have cleaned up their living space, which is also contributing to making the capital city a more civilized place. Let's see how it works. Pictures highlight such items as the Vietnamese countryside or even pictures of those people, with the very initial aim of clearing up the ugly scribbles on walls. My family put forth the idea, and that was later welcomed and highly supported by other households. Furthermore, locals nearby feel more comfortable to live in such a space. These paintings linked to the country's stories and images also serve as a way to have children learn about the traditions of the nation. We play here every afternoon. These pictures are so pretty. I like them very much.
The idea is highly appreciated. It not only contributes to beautifying the residential area, but also reducing advertisements on walls, which has been prohibited.
If the model is copied in other residential areas, the city will have a different face, cleaner and more beautiful. And that has wrapped up our news bulletin. Thanks for watching and see you next time.